Life in a world that keeps changing. Think that it's progress you're making. Copy and paste pretty faces all the time. Pictures so perfect we play through, only cause you set up the angle. Web that you weave got us tangled, caught in what's before our eyes. Show off your fantasy reality, whoa. That's yours, but I'll keep doing mine. You'll be living your good life. Catch a glimpse from the outside, then you see me now, see me now, see.
So what I'm working on right now is pressing out the wrist pin out of the stock piston and rod. It's super sketch. I've got a deep socket on top, and I'm using that to press through because it's like the perfect diameter. So wish me luck. I'm gonna go super slow. Oh man, that's so sketchy. Oh, I don't like that at all. Oh yeah, it feels like the pin's about to fall out. Alright, that actually worked really good. I didn't even mess up the piston. Usually you ruin the piston by doing this. Alright, so this is what you have to do to get the new wrist pins in there with the new pistons. There's one that's already done. Basically, the tolerance is so tight that when you heat the small end, it'll expand just enough to where the wrist pin slides through, and then when it cools down, it locks in place. You have like half a second to get it right. And this is something that you want to do on your first try, because otherwise, if you don't get it right, you gotta possibly press it more or less, and you can risk damaging the piston. So you gotta really try and get it right your very first try. Once you start seeing that color change on the tip, you know you're getting close. The more you heat it, the hotter it is, the more time you have to work with it, so it's better to go too hot. This is just a propane torch, so it doesn't get super hot. If you have like MAP gas or something like that, or acetylene, you can actually probably overheat it, weaken the metal. But it's starting to turn white. Just gonna make sure it's evenly heated all the way around, and then we're gonna go for it. And already it's tight. It's like half a second, I swear that's all you get. And this is all you, oops. All you're trying to do is trying to keep the rod center right there in the middle, but at the same time you want to make sure the wrist pin is even on both sides. You see how there's like a ½ millimeter gap there and about a ½ millimeter gap there. It does have a little bit of wiggle room for forgiveness, but the more dead center you are, the better. So here we go. I swear, it's so fast. You have such little time to work with it. So there's 2 out of 4. Working out a lot easier than I thought it was, because sometimes people, you got to make a jig or, have something a little bit more fancy than just eyeballing it, but it seems to be working out pretty good. Oh, and one more thing, the pistons are labeled intake this side, which is obviously the larger valve reliefs. So your exhaust, the tangs on the bearing side, the tangs go towards the exhaust. So make sure you have it orientated right, and you should be good to go. So I noticed when you put a little bit of heat to the small end, it's easier to press the pin out. The first one I was kind of scared, but now I'm just knocking them out. I've got 2 more, and then I'm done. Yeah, with just a little bit of heat, it comes out a lot easier. Let me see. Oh, yeah. Easy. Alright, here's a complete set of pistons I just pressed in. The wrist pins, and for doing it by hand with no jig or anything, they're just about as good as you can get it. What you're looking for is like a millimeter gap, like being dead center of the rod, and like a millimeter gap on each side of the wrist pin. Dead center, a little bit of a gap, dead center, a little bit of a gap, center, gap. Same thing on the back sides, just a little bit of a gap. Should be as symmetrical as possible. That one might be like half a mil off, but like I said, there's room, there's a wiggle room, a little bit of wiggle room, because it does slide back and forth after all.